What's up, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Photography, the show that will teach you how to get awesome photos on the cheap. Now, we were going to do a bunch of different photography episodes for Pimping Pixels, but then we noticed that we were getting too far away from Photoshop and design, which is what Pimping Pixels is all about, and we were focusing way too much on photography. So, we decided to start this brand new show, Photography. And this show is designed to show you everything behind the camera as opposed to behind the computer. So we're going to start off talking about the camera. This is your base. This is your starting point. Everyone goes out to the store and they buy a brand new DSLR camera. You know, you're going to spend around like $1,000 or more. You could get some cheaper ones, but you're going to be spending around $1,000 or more on your brand new camera. And what happens after you buy that is you go out, you start shooting with it, and your photos just look okay. They're not looking amazing, they're not even looking great, they're just looking okay. And you start wondering to yourself, why is that? Now, the number one reason why that is because the lens that comes with your camera isn't necessarily the best lens out there. Because once you want to start like creating really creative photos where you have like nice depth of field, where your main subject is in focus but the background is blurry, you're not necessarily going to be able to get that with your kit lens. The main thing that I use my kit lens for is actually video work, because everything's in focus, you know, and then I switch up to the other lenses that I have when I want to have that depth of field. So today's episode, if you couldn't guess it, is going to be talking all about buying a new lens. Now, there are some lenses that you can get kind of cheap, but most lenses are going to run you a lot of money. We're going to show you our $100 solution lens that will get you awesome depth of field. It's super awesome, cheap, tiny, light, and it's just a blast to use. So let's get into it. So now before I get into talking about the lenses, I want to talk about my camera first. So the camera that I'm starting off with is the Canon EOS Rebel T2i, or 550D, they also call it. But I got the T2i. This is an old camera now, okay? The T5i just came out recently. But the reason why I use this camera so much is because I own it. I don't have to go out and buy a brand new camera because I've had this camera for a couple years now. And when I bought it, it cost me a pretty penny. So you could get this camera now for about like $600. Like I saw that on Amazon. It was priced about like $600. But you could also get the Canon T3i, which is the next model up, for about $600 as well. So I would suggest if you're just starting off, get one of those. You don't have to get the T5i. Just because it's the latest and greatest, you don't need all of that stuff. You know, as long as you have a camera that's like 12 megapixels or up, you'll be more than happy with what you're shooting. So first step, if you're just buying a camera, you don't need to buy the latest and greatest. Now, going into the lenses, the first lens that I actually bought for this camera was this EFS 55 to 250 millimeter lens. Now, this is a great telephoto lens, however, it is a bit costly. This greatly goes over our $100 budget, but I have a solution for that for you. But first, talking about this lens is my go-to lens. I love this lens so much because it's telephoto, so you have that long range, so I could shoot someone who's very far away in the distance and still get a nice shot of them. And by doing that, it also creates a nice depth of field and everything, and I have just been taking such amazing photos with this lens. I strongly recommend it if you could afford it. I was able to pick it up at Best Buy, actually. That's another thing. You don't always have to go to like B&H or Adorama or any of these crazy camera stores. You could go to your local Best Buy or Target, or I think Target sells camera lenses, but you know, you could go to just about any store that sells these things to pick it up. They're all going to be around the same price wherever you go. So I bought this at Best Buy, and one thing that I loved about it was I was able to test it before I bought it. And I wasn't going to buy this lens at first. I was actually going to buy, they have like a 70 to 300 millimeter lens that's a bit cheaper. That lens is about like $200. And I tried that out, and there's so much shake on it. Like when you like push it out to like the 300 millimeter on that lens and you try to take a shot, most of the time it's going to be blurry unless you're on a tripod. But with this, I'm able to hand hold it and still get a really nice shot at the 250mm because it has image stabilizer on it. As long as you have that on, it works wonders, man, okay? I'm able to shoot like very far away and still get like nice, clean shots. So this lens runs you about like 300 bucks. If you could afford it, definitely go for it because it's a great starting lens for your Canon cameras. If you're working with a Nikon or any other type of camera, they have lenses similar to this. You know, just do a Google search and see what you could find that's similar to the 55 to 250mm lens. And man, I can't express how much I love this lens. This is what I work with all the time. Not all the time. And so now getting to our cheap solution lens, we have the Canon 50mm lens, okay? And this lens is f1.8. And what that means is that it lets in a lot of light when you lowered the f-stop down to 1.8. It lets in a lot of light, and it also gives you a great depth of field, okay? When I first tried this lens at the store, you know, because if you just ask them at the store, they'll let you try the lenses out, which is awesome. I love that. So I was playing around with this lens, and I just noticed that I was getting awesome depth of field. You know, I had nice blurry backgrounds. I was focused on like this tiny little area of my subject that I was shooting, and it's just so much fun to use. Best part is I picked this up for 100 bucks. This is honestly the cheapest you're gonna find any lens for your camera, okay? And if you're just starting off, you want to get off of that kit lens on your camera and you want to start creating nice creative shots, you want to have that nice blurry focus, you want to have that blurred background and that nice depth of field, get this lens. It is a blast to use. It's simple, it's easy. You don't have to worry about different focal lengths because it's set at 50mm. So you're not going to be zooming in and out. It doesn't have that. You're just set at 50mm. Only thing you have to worry about is your focus and changing the aperture. And like I said before, when you change the aperture, that determines how in focus your image will be, you know, and how, you know, the depth is. So, you know, how blurry your background is and such. So definitely go grab this lens. It's 100 bucks. I think now it's actually 110 because for whatever reason, camera lens prices went up. You know, I was able to grab it at 100 bucks and I was thrilled with it. It's a little bit more than that. It's 110 now. So now that we talked about our lenses and our camera, why don't we actually see what kind of images we could shoot with these lenses and our camera. So we're going to start off looking at some images that I took using the 50mm f1.8 lens, okay? Now this first shot here you can see I took of my cousin actually. She just got married about a week ago. Depending when you're watching, it might have been a little bit longer. But you could see how the background is nice and blurry, even her husband in the foreground is blurry, and our focus and our attention is put directly on her face. You see her eye, her nose, her lips, all of that is in focus, but from there, the image starts falling off into blurriness. And that's because of the lens. The lens allows me to get that type of look. So all I did was I took my 50mm lens, I brought the aperture all the way down to f1.8. All I did was I just took the shot. That's all I had to do in order to obtain this. You know, there was nothing else done to it. And it was such an amazing shot. It came out beautiful, and I love this lens for that type of look. Now, you don't have to use this lens just for weddings. You could use this lens for any type of photography. So this next image that we're going to look at is actually of my wife. And she was, you know, a little less than thrilled to be photographed, so that's why she's giving me the finger in the shot. But you can see that's just a cool looking photo, you know. I have just her hands in focus, and she's completely blurred out in the background. All you see are her fingers. It's nice, it's up close, and super sharp because of that focal length. So, you know, you really want to direct your viewer's attention when you're taking photography to a specific point. And using this 50mm lens definitely gets you on point. It definitely gets you looking at one particular thing that you want to showcase, and it creates beautiful depth of field. So if you're just starting off, definitely get this lens. And once again, it's only around 100 bucks. All right, so let's talk about my 55 to 250mm lens. Now, one thing that I love about this is I could be far away from my subject and still get in close on them. Okay, so as you can see here, this is another image from my cousin's wedding, and I was able to just put them on this bench and set up a really nice, beautiful shot. And what was really cool was that on the bench it actually said, Haven on Earth is here at the garden. So I just had them sitting in front of the words at the garden and just had it say Haven on Earth is here, and then it leads up to them. So I thought that was nice and elegant. But you know, one of the ways that I was able to get this shot was because of this lens, because of, you know, I was able to be at a nice distance from them. I was able to focus in exactly where I needed to. And as you can see, there's still depth of field. You look at those trees in the background, they're still blurry. You know, you still have like that nice, you know, separation between foreground and background, and you can still get that with this lens. You don't have to always get something that has like an insanely low aperture of like 1.4 or even 1.8. You could get that with a telephoto lens. When you zoom in close, the background gets blurry. So that's another thing that I love about this lens. Once again, you don't just have to do wedding photography. As you can see here, while we were in the park, I also grabbed this awesome photo of a cardinal. Just never seen a cardinal before this day, and I was just like, oh my god, this bird has a mohawk and it's all red, it looks amazing. So, you know, I ran towards it with my camera, it kept flying away. But you know, if you're doing wildlife photography, you need some sort of telephoto lens. You're not going to be able to get in close to your animals or the creatures. They're gonna go away from you. So I was patient, I was looking around, and I was able to nail this shot of the cardinal, and it came out, I think it came out pretty good. I mean, it could have been a lot better. You know, there are a lot of, you know, this 55 to 250 lens is not necessarily the best for wildlife photography, but, you know, I was still able to get this nice looking shot. So this lens is $300 now. I believe I was able to pick it up for like $270. It was on sale at Best Buy. I was able to save some money there. But like I said, you know, for whatever reason, lens prices went up. So that sucks. So you guys just saw how you could create awesome looking photos just by upgrading your camera's lens. And you even saw how you could do that for only about $100 by getting the Canon 50mm f1.8 lens. It's a super fun lens to play with, and you get amazing depth of field with it. And it's just a blast, you know. Go out there, you know, this is a great starting lens for anyone getting into photography. And, you know, if you don't have a Canon camera, if you have a Nikon or anything else, you know, they have equivalent lenses. You know, just do like a Google search for that. They have things around the same price range. It might be a little bit more expensive, but they have similar type of lenses. Now on our next episode, we're going to show you guys how you can get all of the photo editing and management software that you need for only $50. So that's going to be a really great episode. And if you guys want to see an awesome tutorial on how you can take your image and fill it in with thousands of different words, check out our Painting with Type episode of Pimping Pixels at the link below. It's a super fun tutorial, and it will take you only a couple minutes to learn. And once you learn it, it actually takes about like 60 seconds to do. And it's just amazing because if you look at this design, it looks like it will take you 20 hours to accomplish, but we do it in a couple minutes. So definitely check out that episode, and that'll do it for today's first episode of photography, and I'll see you guys next time. Yeah! Woo! Let's take some photos! Boo, 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 woo, photography! What's up, everyone, and welcome back. Welcome back. This is our first episode, but welcome back. Sorry, I'm just used to doing Pimping Pixels. I think I have a hair on my lip. Well, I mean, I have a mustache, so I have hair on my lip. Yeah, because I'm a man. I have hair on my lip. But I thought I had straight hair. That's what today's episode is all about. About buying brand new lenses. Let's get to it. Lenses! Yeah! Woo! Photography! Photography with Gregory James Lincoln! Photography! Photography! Ah, boy. I am fudging this up.